Awesome. Welcome everybody back to another round of Digital PNA. This is Marcel Allen, and I'm so grateful you're all here. We're going to dive in a minute to our commercials and our curveball question of the day. So I'm thrilled that you're here. If you have any questions on YouTube, feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll broadcast them here on the show. And if you don't have questions, no worry, but we are so glad that you're here. Digital PNA is unique. It's 100% online and 100% connected. And if you've never gotten referrals yet from the internet, we hope that you will today. So wouldn't it be cool if your networking group was sharing your podcasts, your blog posts, your videos, and getting you business, introducing you to their sphere of influence and completely new communities online? That is our vision here at Digital PNA. So this is our current lineup of excellent people and networkers, a couple absences today, but you can take a screenshot of this real quick if you want. But at the top of their head is their Instagram handle, if we have one on file for them. Some people are still getting those set up, but we do encourage you to participate with each of these people online, tag them, go Instagram live, do interviews, take your one-to-ones to the next level. And we're just so grateful for this community. So before we dive in too far, I need a couple volunteers. Does anybody want to be responsible today to take a photo or maybe a couple video clips of okay, Emma, thank you. And anybody can take a photo, but I want to make sure we have at least somebody to document something cool that's happening. And how about a meme maker or a tracker? And this, okay, Brian Trendler, thank you. This person is going to listen for quotables, closed business, content that we can use out there on our social media. And then we all have our stories, our Facebook, our Instagram, our YouTube stories. If you want to update your story with a screenshot or a clip from today, you can. Or even if you just want to pop on your phone after this and say, hey, this is Marcel. I just got off this great community, Digital PNA. Come check us out next time. You can do that. Or say, hey, if you need what Brian Vaughn was speaking about, here's how you find them at vaughn-life.net. So again, our whole goal is to syndicate and share each other's content so that we all have a stronger digital presence. And today we have an opportunity to do your 30-second commercials. So if you've never done this before, it's pretty simple. Just tell us who you are. If you've got a video you want to talk about, have us share about, if you want to tell us why you're different than your competition, or maybe just a recent win that you've got, we would love to hear from you. So anybody want to start first? And then I'll do names in the chat or order in the chat. Let's see. I'm going to say Brian Trendler first, BV second, Mike, Emma, Caesar, and then myself.
Cool.
So take it away.
All right. So just making sure we're not doing a tangent yet. We're just doing a commercial.
Correct.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is 12:06. It is the week is almost over, but we're just in hump day phase. I co-run Laugh Tech, stands for Learn About Funny Techniques with Miss Marcel Allen, but I primarily have been representing the BT Presents side of the business. And what that means is I am an MC, I am an officiant, I'm an auctioneer, motivational trainer, and I just got off a call the other day where it was a really interesting thing because it's a potential 2-day opportunity for me to MC and do some motivational training throughout. And the funny thing is my pricing is my pricing. It's very competitive, but she stopped and said, we only have about an $8,000 budget. And I was like, I think I can work with that. Okay, good. Because in all fairness, it would have been about $3,000 less. So I like working within budgets with organizations that want to bring in somebody that can train people from a motivational standpoint and make a 2-day event worth attending and, more important, worth coming back to. So if you know businesses that have those types of conferences, that would be a great lead for me, Brian Trendler, part of Laugh Tech, representing BT Presents. Thanks. Brian Vaughn, you're up next.
All right, man. Hey, BT, that was pretty great, man. Your vibe just is clicking along. I feel like you got so much spark in your voice that almost the background soundtrack is almost implied, man. I feel like that's something we can add to our play the music, cue the music, and kind of get it going. So
love that.
All right. Well, there's Caesar right there. Oh man, you missed the first commercial, Caesar. Welcome to the party, brother.
Thanks.
You're up, dude. So it so happens it's my 60-second version, not the whole deal. But I'd say my win this lately is that I've enhanced the relationship I have with one of my strategic partners, where we're going to be working deliberately together. And as Caesar knows, in Vaughn Life and the kind of retirement planning strategies we do, and just marketing, getting people to know what do you do and how's that different. Co-marketing and co-branding is a great way to do that. And I've got more to follow in the future, but formally engaged a referral partner as we go forward and make good things happen for each other's business. So that's the short of it. So vaughnlife.net. Life is meant to be both the business, but also what is my life? What is your life? Tell me about that. And through that, when we make some connections, we start solving some problems. That's it. No soundtrack. So
Awesome, Mike, and then Carlos.
Well done, Brian. BV, Brian. Well done, Brian's. It's always
we'll go with BV. Yeah, we'll keep the Brian.
An embarrassment of Brian's today. So, I'm Mike. I'm with the Puget Sound Business Journal. I commute to work, and when I was getting off the train today, I pulled my glasses the wrong way, and I broke my reader glasses, my favorite reader glasses. And why is that important? Because I need my reader glasses, because I'm looking at screens all day, as is my customers, as are the Puget Sound Business Journal readers. I can take a book. I can hold a book farther away if I don't have my readers, but I need my readers for the screen. Puget Sound Business Journal reaches about 300,000 unique visitors to our website each month with their eyes. And their eyes are looking at our content, and our content includes advertising. You think of the business journal because it has the word journal in it, and you think the printed piece. And that's certainly a big part of what we do. But an even bigger part of what we do is that we reach people on screens like this, connecting business people with other business people and with sales opportunities and with buying opportunities. Does it work? Yeah. You know what? Size matters. And I'll tell you exactly why. I have a client called Round Glass. Round Glass has run some digital advertising with us. I worked with them to increase the physical size of their digital banner ads from standard size, which you've all seen, to what we call now XL banner size. It's about 3 times bigger. And you know what? Their click-through rate is more than 3 times more. In fact, they are sometimes on a given days reaching a click-through rate of 1.5%, which is astoundingly high for digital advertising. So if you break your glasses, you need big ads. If you want big ads, talk to Mike at the Puget Sound Business Journal.
Excellent. Great job. Emma.
Nice. Well, as I said, I'm Emma and here at Country Financial and the Courtney Hamilton Agency. We are a small 4-women operation. Courtney has been in business 9 years, servicing all your insurance needs from auto, home, renters to business liability, commercial auto, as well as life and retirement needs. We've been seeing a lot of people come to us with less coverage than they really need in efforts to save money. Most people think that getting less coverage is the way to go. In fact, the real savings is in picking higher deductibles. So we'd love to take a look at what you currently have to see if there's enough coverage there and if there was better ways to save you money. Country has been doing insurance a long time, 100 years, in fact, right here it says. And these are the kind of policies that protect people, not just insure them.
Caesar, do you want to do your commercial next?
Sure. So thank you for having me here today. Nice to virtually meet everyone. My name is Caesar Grados. I head up Goosehead Insurance, so pretty similar business to where Emma is at. I'm a former actuary, so I come from the nerdy side of insurance. I worked primarily on the life side and in reinsurance. Took a bunch of exams to be able to understand the deep financials of insurance. A couple years ago, I decided to kind of go out on my own and decided to purchase a Goosehead insurance brokerage. So I do, similar lines, personal lines, property, life, a little dabble in life, but mainly property and commercial. So my main business is helping first-time homeowners, find coverage that they need. I love helping first-time homeowners, educating my clients. I guess what differentiates my business is really being client-centric and helping my clients understand the coverages that they have, because insurance is, kind of a boring thing that all of us have to have and none of us want to have to use. But I like knowing my clients, being able to understand what they're actually purchasing and just have a little bit of knowledge behind what all those numbers mean. So I spend a good chunk of my time talking to clients and educating them. So good to be here and nice to meet everyone.
Excellent. Thanks, Caesar. We're happy here. And thanks, BV, for bringing a friend. We do allow multiple categories of the same in this potential thing, because we technically cover, I don't know, the internet or all of Washington State for sure, but we go beyond that because we got folks in Arizona and people can watch us from anywhere. So with that being said, my name is Marcel. I run a company called Dreamosity, and you can visit dreamosity.com to learn more. But I do encourage you all, spend 5 minutes on dreamosity.com this week. Make it a habit to go there, see what's happening in social media, see what I'm doing with data art, because I swear you guys, it's going to help a lot of homes find more harmony. But my technical title is a social media trainer and social media manager. So if you are just overwhelmed with video ideas and you don't know how to do the editing, or you're not sure how to make this ad for, an advertising campaign, or you're like, what the heck is this sales funnel? I should probably have one of those. Because if you are short on leads, which are really just people out there looking for things that you have solutions for, I would love to help you create a stronger social media presence so that you're able to help a lot of people this year. And with that, I just want to share our next slide. I'm kind of pivoting here. This was inspired by BV, but if your digital presence were compared to a car, what type of speed are you at? Are you trucking along? Are you zooming by? Are you like burnt out, bust out on the road? Are you like a rocket ship? Like, think about the speed and momentum. And we'll go in the same order. Actually, let's go in reverse. And I'm going to say, here at Dreamosity, so I have a new office space. I've been here about 5 or 6 days, give or take. I feel like I'm at the front of a race. Like, I'm just about to hit go. Like, I've been kind of waiting and preparing, getting insurance and doing all the things. And I'm about to start the race, even though I've been racing for 16 years now, in a sense. I've been in the game successful here for 16 years, but I feel like it's about to get fun and exciting. So that's where I'm at. What about you, Caesar?
Unmute here. So I would say I'm probably stuck on a towing lot in terms of media.
Come on, man.
No, it maybe that's an exaggeration. It could definitely use some improvement. My business is not like we have our our client webpage and portal and Facebook presence primarily done like on a commercial level, but my personal agency business doesn't do a ton online. I should probably try to improve that, but yeah, so could use some work, to be honest.
Thank you for sharing. We're happy you're here. We'll definitely push you out of your comfort zone this year. All right, Emma.
Yeah, we actually were discussing this yesterday in a meeting, as far as getting more engagement online, just putting more posts that can get people to kind of respond, to kind of get that conversation going. But we do use LinkedIn right now. We're in a couple of Facebook groups, so we do that, but I'd say it's slow, so not quite as active as it probably could be.
Oh, it's me. Yeah. Like a utility vehicle, like your standard Toyota Sienna. It has a lot of potential use, maybe a lot of facets that are in the altogether okay, but none of them really shines. And so it doesn't go fast. It's not sexy. and needs to be, but we're kind of stuck there, with the big sliding door.
All right, that you said sliding door. The question that inspired this, that Caesar's heard about this, and I put on social media. What's the car example of what kind of solutions do we provide? If you're looking for the Ducati motorcycle, that's not what we do. I've had the minivan plan. It's going to be dependable. It's going to get you there, and it's boring, but you're comfortable. You're not worried about it. However, I am also, my car, I've actually talked about this and even posted that I have the perfect car because I drive, and to me, it epitomizes, it's old. It's a 2015 Subaru Outback, which is part of what I call the Seattle trifecta. You marry a UW girl, you get a pit bull, and you drive a Subaru, man. So it's comfortable, it's capable, it cruises, it'll just go, and I can drive, fill it up like a truck, or I can take a bunch of people. It's it ain't sexy because they're everywhere, and it's also this blue gray. So on more than one occasion, I have, without any jest or I'm doing my best, I'm approaching the wrong blue gray Subaru Outback because they're everywhere. So, but it's perfect. I don't need my personality can be my distinguishing feature, not my car. So I'm not about sexy cars. I'm about sensible cars that do the right stuff. So digging it. So there's my story, man.
Wow. I'm almost scared to follow that. Hi again, everybody. Jeez. I'm trying to understand the question, if I'm being honest, because everyone has kind of answered it differently. But I think I would best be compared digital presence to an electronic vehicle, an EV of sorts, because I'm everywhere. I zip around, but I'm quiet. And yet I'm on stage as an auctioneer and MC and everything else, but I'm quiet. You can't hear me coming. If you're a deer, I'm going to hit you. But at the same time, I lose charge all the time. I would much rather just crawl along. And in the actual Kia Sportage I own is the year of the model that is the most easily stolen in the country. So I can't afford to get a ticket because Caesar will drop me and Emma won't talk to me. 2019 Kia Sportage, so I'm screwed. So literally, I'm just old grandpa driving along the far right side of the road. So
that is a brilliant answer. I get it.
That's all I got.
You guys were way more creative than I was expecting, and I'm so grateful for that. We gotta keep it fun here. Okay, moving forward, we've got our speaker of the day. I'm so grateful. This is our first opportunity to hear from Brian Vaughn and Vaughn Life. So, Brian, I'm gonna give you a couple questions, and then I'll stop my share, and you can start screen sharing whenever you're ready.
Okay.
20 minutes, and I'll give you kind of a reminder, maybe 18 minutes in the chat there. But question, so how many years in business have you been?
It was 2007 when I went from being marketing operations business development guy at Intel and changed careers and became a financial advisor. So I'll add to that. So that's now Vaughn Life is a rebrand that came about really as a product of the conversations that Marcel and Brian T and I started having. I thought I got to make this more intuitive, more connective. So, but I've been doing this for a minute. So I guess that's 17 years, I think. Yeah.
Excellent. How about a seldom known personal fact?
At one point, I was a professional pineapple picker.
What? That's cool. And how about a hobby?
Annoying people. I am annoyingly curious. My wife will oh my God, there he goes again. Because I don't know a stranger. I walk into a room and I start acting. So Brian, what's it like and how come? And laugh. What's, God, enough already. And here, I want to kind of take that. Well, that's a lighthearted thing. And Caesar and I have walked in, potential customers' doors together, but I just start talking to people. However, I want you all 6 of you to think about this. When you're listening to groups of people chattering, how often you hear somebody ask a question of any kind? We all want to talk, but how often is it a question? Mike, you're surrounded by people in the business journal. That's a curious culture. I mean, in a good way, a culture of curiosity, but it's still a rarity to come across people who go, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
So
excellent. How about in title of your presentation today?
Well, the who, what, how, why, really. This is the first time. There's other things I'll talk about in future presentations. This one, take the time to introduce myself, and there's aspects. So that's self-introduction. Who, what, how, why.
Excellent. So you can screen share anytime. Everybody else, I'm going to keep you on the screen. I'm going to make his presentation bigger. But if you want to turn your camera off, you're welcome to. It'll just shrink the little bubbles on the screen here. So I don't want that to be me. I want that to be.
So where is, I want to find,
So
I have the mic, I have the disable camera, I have
it's
the settings.
The third one. It should say screen share.
It just says settings. No, integrated cam auto. My third one is said I have the microphone, the camera, and settings.
So you don't have a screen share option?
What's up here?
You should have a screen share button.
Visual search. With that first 10 minutes, we should have figured this part out to private.
That's all right. Brian, do you see it on your end where your screen share button is? From my host account looks different than everybody else's. Does anybody else see theirs?
Yeah, it's actually of the four icons on the bottom. It's the little computer screen with the arrow.
Yeah.
And I don't have a computer screen. I have 3 icons.
Oh, I wonder what.
Anyway, let me turn this. Private chat. Oh, no, that's chat. So I have chat in the lower left corner, private chat. Then in the center, I have a cluster of 3 of them together. That is the microphone, the camera, and the settings button. But I don't have a. Oh wait, if I wait here, if I minimize this, there it is. Okay, I had it on full screen. If I backed it out for future reference, there it is. Now I can see it.
Good. I'm watching too. This is, I think, our number six time doing Restream versus Zoom. It's a little bit dynamic and fun.
So how do I select tab to share? Entire screen. Okay, here we go. Here. Also share audio. I got to turn that on. Yep. Okay, share. Does anybody see anything? Oh, share. Entire screen. I said yes. Okay, so cancel. Didn't happen. Here.
Thank you for your patience, everybody. We're gonna get it. So when you went to hit screen share, were you able to share?
There it is. All right, here we go. Now I got it. Okay, this is different than Zoom. Bam! You should be able to see it.
Boom! There you are.
All right.
Cool.
And I'm starting my timer to keep us on track here. So
time starts now. You got 20 minutes, BV. Take it away.
So by the way, can you see my face too, or just the presentation? It doesn't really matter because I'll be goofy. But
we can see your face.
All right, I can't see my face. Oh wait, yeah, I can, because I can look down here. I've got it also in my phone, so I can see what you guys see. And this is weird. All right, there we are.
You're doing great.
All right. If any of you see me in person, the words PowerPoint in general just cause people's eyes to start roll back and, okay, I can take a nap for 18 minutes because he's going to talk for 20. I don't want it to be that way. And I was actually hoping Karen could be here because there's some opportunities to interject, and I might expect some interjection at some point in this. So this is my introduction. We'll get past this very boring slide here and just move along. Because, as I said, the agenda is who, what, how, and why of Vaughn life. So let's start with this. Bear with me. This is not going to be as doofy as it might sound, but I want it to mostly not be boring. And feel free to laugh or make fun of me or cry or whatever. So it's not like that. So starting with the who. Who the heck is this? No, this is not me. This is my mom and dad way back when he's a young officer. Why are you showing that? Because this had something to do with the who, the me. Dad was a Navy officer, and look how great they look, by the way. This is like from Mad Men or something. But we moved every year because he's a Navy guy. And I share this because it had something to do with the fact, why am I so friggin' obnoxious? Because I used to be so shy. We moved every year. So I know people all over the country, still do. I kept in touch with my friends. My first memories of life in the British West Indies, where I was the only pink kid in the playground. Everybody else was blue, black, and had a British accent. I was a weird one. And that acclimated me to all kinds of otherness. So it was a great thing. So enough of that. Again, this is going to be a super short story. Mom and dad, we had brother, sister, baby, here we are. Just more to the family. So a beautiful family, things going on. And then I grew up, and here is my kid, Tony. This is about 117 years ago. And he grew up to be, this is my kid, more recent. And I want to have, I'm sharing life because the name of the business is life and some things so people get a sense of me personally, not just what I do professionally. I say that Just like when I get to meet people, what's going on in your life? I can't make recommendations till I get a sense of you. I want you guys to have a sense of my life. So Tony and his mom and I were married for 127 years, and that was a mutual decision. Sometime later, it didn't work, but he and I still have a great thing going on. So I want to share, keep on going along. He has his own kids now. So yeah, I got grandkids who are taller than me. They're living a great life out in Texas, and so much for that. I moved up here to be near him when they were living in Marysville, and I didn't expect it. I was willfully single guy, just living life. I want to be closer to my grandkids. I was living in Arizona at the time, moved up here because to see Tony, and I met an age-appropriate, fantabulous woman named Dawn, blue eyes and freckles, and we met just over 10 years ago, and we got married in 2018, and that's when Tony and Dawn's kids, who called me bonus dad, and yeah, when I heard that the first time, I may or may not have had some tears rolling down my cheeks, but pretty great. So we got a great blended family going on, and there's some of the who. So without boring you, professionally is another who, is that it's not just Brian rolling around solo. The kind of things that I help people. I have partners, professional partners. When I set up my LLC years ago, the LLC is named Vaughn Financial Partners, because I've never provided any solutions on my own. I've always had team members, whether it's literal or virtual. And I just put some of the brands and logos of some of the organizations that I utilize to, well, create strategies, design solutions, help people do things. And I want to bring your attention to some of these. Show of hands, anybody recognize any of those names or logos or anything familiar to you or not? I can look down here and see you. You know what? There's a delay on. I'm looking at YouTube. I mean, at the stream. Anyway, feel free to jump in. I don't know what. Can I hear anybody? Does anybody talk? In case
I
anybody.
recognize two of them.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, just wanted to hear if I could anybody give people the opportunity to jump in. So I want to repeat. I don't want this to be a dissertation. I can hear that I'm talking fast because I'm used to having to get it all done before people fall asleep. We got plenty of time. I can slow it down. So, but I don't want to be boring. I see a hand raised. Okay. At the bottom left is North Lake Washington Business Connection, or an organization that I created. It's not affiliated with any other thing. It's just independent, and it's not limited to North Lake Washington anymore. But the crow logo is because crows are all over, and crows are fun and smart and clever. And there's these other cool people in PNA Northwest, and there's connections there. So anybody heard of these guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. So kind of getting to the who. To me, back to kind of what you had said, Marcel, having a social media presence, of the social media that I have, I think the least boring is my YouTube channel. I encourage people, if you wonder what's that about, we can go to the website. I think it's a little more Vaughn Life-esque if you go to the YouTube channel, where there's things, not all of which is about business. Sometimes it's, there's pit bulls or kids or people or beaches or whatever. And that's kind of why I want the name Vaughn Life. I'm going to pause for a second and say that it was meeting you guys and introducing my business that it occurred to me, I could make this simpler and less boring. And you've heard me say, I've said before, that among the questions that I meet people when we're first talking about whether or not we're a good fit and what kind of things we might do, I'd say, well, tell me about your life. What's going on? What kind of car do you drive, right? Just to get the juices flowing, have people describe their life, what they're thinking about, what they're worrying about. And I decided that's a better description of what I do for people than Vaughn Financial Partners, which was never intended to be a brand for marketing purposes. So just to help people, because to help you guys kind of relay. So what do you do? Well, this is the bumper sticker kind of thing. The Seattle based, I'm a life changer, helping grown people, if you're somewhere between 25 and 65, how you create strategies, plan solutions to protect and to grow. So several of us in the protection business, but also grow with a focus on retirement. Some people might think of financial folks as, hey, what's hot? I want to be rich in the next 5 years. That's not what I do, right? But if you're like, hey, I'd like to know I'm going to be okay and have a partner in the process. And I use some other analogies when we talk about what do you do. And in fact, I'll just kind of peel off a quick tangent. I kind of want to stop share for a second well, you can see my face. I guess it's okay. So I don't know about you guys. When I present in groups, I turn off the PowerPoint printer regular so I can see if people are paying attention. You can see they blink, blink, blink. They come and look at me. I'm wandering around a room. If we're in the room, I would have turned this off. An analogy I use to kind of help people get a sense of what I do and how I help is think about how what I do is kind of like a healthcare professional, like a primary care physician. And I have a video I've posted of various versions I've shared that anybody have a doctor, a primary care physician they like, or maybe they don't like, and but how it feels when you got somebody good, when you got a doctor that you got somebody good. And I wish Karen was on the call, because I also say that if there's 2 or 3 or 9 doctors in a town, that doesn't mean there's too many. You want to find the one that feels okay, good. I got a good connection with this person. That other one's fine, but this one feels good. That's what I want to do. And I'd say Karen and I both, and most financial professionals, you want to find somebody who gets, there's no we're not in competition. We all want to help. And there's too many people. I haven't asked a financial person, so what do I do about these things and protecting my savings, and how do I grow it? What do I do? So I'm going to go down the path a little bit today, and a little bit further down there. Back to this. That was the professional side. I also want to add this: this is meant to be part of the Vaughn life mantra. That on a personal level, I want to inspire people to be curious. What do you mean? Well, it's been my experience, having been one of those guys who's moved a lot, that when I've met people who have not moved a lot in life, they don't know much about people who are not like them. They kind of get in these, birds of a feather stick together kind of a thing. I am drawn to otherness in all of its flavors, and I have people and friends and family that they don't look and sound like me. And that's just one of those. I want you to go think about, what is it? What's it like to be anybody? That's my care. When I meet new people, including all of you guys, I wonder, what's that like? And I want to know more about it. And I want to help people be curious and learn some things, including things they don't know about or might be a little hesitant to connect with. Does that resonate with anybody on the call at all, or kind of wonder?
Yes, I love curiosity. I'm a huge fan. It's actually in the name of my business, BV. I don't know if I told you
right.
that. Curiosity of dreamosity is. We value the same thing.
That point, in fact, when I met you guys, and you in particular, I picked up on that in your brand, and I thought, well, this group has that. You got the seeds for that kind of thing. So I'm pretty stoked about what this is going to become because of that. You and Brian both have some things that are I don't normally see. Especially in these on the social media sites and the networking groups. So this is a different group. You got some unique features and talent, and so that's the kind of thing. So and just expand that, more of that, and kind of quick tangent off to Caesar. Among the things that he and I have done is we walk indoors together sometime, and we have different personalities, and that's a good thing. 2 of me might be too much, 2 of him might be too much, but we got a good yin and yang kind of thing walking through the door. And with a name like Caesar, just that's that's kind of different, so it gets attention. But help people be curious about otherness in all the ways you can think about. So that's an important part of what I do. And this little I kind of use something. So let's go down a little bit. So what are you talking about, Brian? All right. Well, let's go down here. So if I'm meeting somebody to see when we might be a good fit, I ask them, so what kind of financial problem? This is where I'd like some words from anybody here. Anybody has some financial things you wonder about? Now, if you don't say anything, I got a crutch here, but I'm curious about, is there any feedback from the group is there something you wonder what's going on?
Well, I mean, in my case, for example, I never had financial education, Brian. So I never learned how to save. So throughout my life and business and personal, it's always been a struggle. So I'm in a situation now where I actively have a plan now. Prior to meeting you, I apologize, but point is that I now have some of the structures in place to create, as Marcel would say, financial joy eventually by way of allocating any wealth that I bring in. And that's completely new. So but that's still always a problem, right? Because I may walk out the door and get struck by lightning. So there's an
Right.
accident. So do I have the, slush fund and things along those lines? It's just a juggle.
Yeah, and I always wonder about like the economy, not so much what it's doing, but why people give it so much power. I think it shouldn't be
Ooh.
the leading, like our sales plan and our sales strategy really shouldn't. I mean, in my brain, our sphere of influence is different than a nationwide
Yeah.
thing. And I wonder why like there's so much fear about it. It's like, no, money's a wonderful thing. It's
There's
not
an example.
debt.
That's one of those fears. People get paralyzed by fear and like, what do we do? So, excellent example. So, we kind of plant some of the seeds of some things common topics that we address. That what do we do? And I'm not sure what to do. And some of these might be intuitive or not. Like even the first one, tax reduction. What are you talking about? Well, we'll go. If you think you're paying too much in taxes, or various things there. If any of these, by the way, as they're planning those, if anybody would like some, maybe another sentence of explanation what these mean, because that's when I kind of plant the seeds to see if any of these might resonate as something that might be part of a description of a problem.
I'm curious about business
That was
preservation.
fun. Yeah.
Beautiful. That was kind of the point. Way to play along, people. Give yourself a pat on the back. So that's an example. So think of, they've got we have people, these are not my income people, small business owners. Maybe it's a married couple that's in business together, or maybe a business where you've got a key employee who is a big part of how, the ongoing health of this business. What if something happens to that partner? And can the business carry on, or you're screwed? It's all over, right? So maybe you have some kind of protection. This is where the protection business, where we have some overlap here. But what do we do if something happens to that partner? Can the business carry on? So that has to do with that, having whether your partner or key employee were to die or not die, have a long-term illness or something, and it takes some time before the business can come back. That's an example of having people figure that stuff out. A tangent to that, I have people in my organization to help people also help value the business. What is the value of that business? To people understand. We can go way too deep down that, but I just want to give you a sense of, here's an example of something we do as a courtesy. We help people understand what is the value. I've got people who do business valuations. What does that mean? Well, if somebody were to come, Brian, and offer you $1 million for your business, would you be flattered or insulted? I'm not asking you to answer, but there's an example of, what is my business worth? When I meet business owners, one of the questions, in addition to what kind of car do you drive, is, what's your exit strategy? When are you plan to sell sometime? Or I think Caesar can attest to this. I've asked him that question, and what's the plan? What are you going to do? But whatever that answer is, how to value that. But if you've got a business partner, how you carry on? I'm going to kind of sidestep a little bit. For instance, in my own business, I have my specialties, and I've got a business partner who's got a portfolio kind of specialty, but we've been partners for some time. I had a cancer situation a few years ago, and I was not about running. He kept it afloat. So my business preservation strategy was, he was able to cover for me. If I didn't have him to cover for me, I didn't need to hire somebody to cover. So he was able to just kind of keep it going. So good question. There's more to that. Those are the kinds of questions I want people to go, what do you mean? What does that talk about? So I don't want to. I hear my voice too much. This is also rare for me to be on deck. I like to keep asking questions and have the other person talk all the time, but right now it's for me to talk. So any more, we'll move along. Okay, we'll just go. The simplest thing of all those is, the problem is retirement. Can I retire? That's a simple question, and that's a focus for a lot of people. Some people, if you're filthy rich, I might work with you, but at the essence of it is, people have, can I retire? And this is where I was hoping Karen would be on here as well, because if the math looks like, I'm not sure I can retire, or I'm afraid I'd run out of money before I die. That's the essential thing, because it really gets down to retirement income. What do I have? And the math, Brian, you've already been probably explained this, or your people showed that there's only so much you can do. Well, I need more. What do I do? There's like 4 things. You can save more before you get there if it's possible. I like more every year. Or you could work longer, that's just to create the pile, and then thereby shortening how much time you spend in retirement. You could live more simply in retirement so that money lasts longer, so you don't run out of money. Right, 1, 2, 3. Well, then the fourth one, you could just die sooner.
I'll say die young, yeah.
Yeah, that solves the problem, right? Oh, we're good. So I don't mean to be snarky, but what we help people, there's some simple answers to these things. And I've got a fair amount of snark about my own profession, because there's some people, they appeal to the greedy folks. And wait a minute, there are some people who just need some help, and they haven't felt comfortable asking the questions. So here's back to Brian, your question is perfect, because where I come in is education. Well, what do I need to know? And here we go. I'm going to make this super short, but kind of give some examples. So what you need to know has to do with income taxes. Brian, are you a CPA? No. But having a sense of how income taxes affect what you've got and what you're going to do with it is important. Why? Because income taxes are on sale. They're never going to be as cheap as they are now, which sounds like an offensive thing to say. That, what do you mean they're on sale? Yeah. Income tax rates are historically low, and they're not going to stay this way. No matter what you feel about the economy, the country, within a decade or so, we could see income tax rates double what they are today. So there's some opportunity to take advantage of that fact, and that's something that I and my team teach people about. I'm going to just kind of introduce a concept. This is almost inappropriately simple, but I'd rather be inappropriately simple than inappropriately complicated. So the concept of tax diversification. By all the stuff I talk about, I want you to go, what? And ask me about it later. This is not intended to be an exhaustive education, right? Because as you can see, I'm kind of a goober. So I love questions that are, what's tax diversification? What's an IRA? Everything is great. So I love to teach people stuff. But here's the thing. If you're getting some piles of money, how much of that is accessible tax-free? And folks have heard about an IRA, 401k, or pension. As you're building stuff in that bucket, this green paint can full of money here, you haven't paid taxes on that, because that's the idea. These were invented about the time I got out of high school. That is IRAs and 401ks. I'm being literal there, like 1978. But the idea is you'll pay taxes later, in theory, when you're on a lower tax bracket. Well, the history has shown that's not necessarily going to work out to be the case. So what is the alternative? Well, some things you pay the taxes now while they're on sale. And that's where we have the Roth version of an IRA, the Roth version of a 401k, or a life insurance retirement plan where you can create your own pension. Well, why would you do that? Because that's a tax-free bucket. And it's having the right mix of both. And that's where Karen and I, help people do some of the same kinds of stuff. There's not all of one or the other, but the right mix to be smart, but having some stuff in that tax-free bucket. And I've had 2 people in my career who had enough in that bucket. And I'm just going to use this little cartoon to kind of illustrate, why would you do that? Look at this guy's looking at an apple tree. You get the point of what he's getting there, that I paid tax when I put it in there, and it just kept on growing. That investment grew. But when I take apples off of my investment, I'm not paying tax on that. That concept and how we get you into that tax-free bucket and having the right allocation is a big part of the education that I and my team help people with.
Yeah,
how am I doing on time?
About 1 minute left. I don't know.
Okay. So here it is. I'm going to go fast through this. So what do? You got to pay yourself first. I should have checked in sooner. How do I do that? I'm going to skip through this part. I want you, these 2 words I want to stick with: living benefits and tax-free retirement, how we can help you do that. So with that, I'm going to skip through some other stuff, go all the way to, so I stay back to, what are the problems you need help with? Education. Why does the economy have so much power? And this is really the punchline. Why you do this at this is a marketing site, retirezerotax.com. Open up here and you go, that's my about page. Why do I do this? This is the about page of vaughnlife.net, because I'm a cynic about financial advisors. So I became one, right? By the way, you scroll down, there's my dog, Luna Jane. Some of my clients know Luna Jane. I want you to know at the top of the page, you see the various kind of things I help with. Pay attention over at quick links. I'm about done. Yep.
Yeah, actually, we still only see the website address. So
okay, never mind.
Another screen that's not being shared. Sorry.
For the sake of time, I shared only the slide and not the whole thing. So I'll go to retirezerotax.com and you'll
There
see
you
some
go.
stuff. I'm going to wrap this up since I want you to wonder, what the hell did he just say, right? So I also saved my backup is if you wonder about living benefits and tax-free retirement and how that affects the problems I want to have, go to vaughnlife.net where you learn about how to have more money, more protection, more confidence. You email me there, but schedule a conversation and continue the conversation, starting with tell me what kind of car you drive.
Excellent. Good job, Brian.
Good job, man.
Anybody have questions for Brian before we dive into the speech breakout?
Brian, I'm just going to get right into the nitty gritty. Right now, what is one of the biggest problems you're finding your new client base, so that, versus existing that you're currently working with, farming along with? What are one or two of the biggest obstacles or problems that they're faced with, that they're coming to you to get clarity or help with?
Well, it's what they're paying attention to. And
Okay.
some of this, Caesar heard me say this, but people will spend more time planning a 2-week vacation than they will a 20-year retirement. I'm being literal. It's a funny thing, but it's a real thing. And I want people to be curious about, wait, what? Because it's so friggin' boring. Oh my God, retirement, I might die. Well, you might not die. You might, like I did. I got I'm weirdly fit, but I got cancer in 2021. And for about 6 months, I was a little weak, feeble old man. It just knocked me out. So I had to come back from that. And I didn't get for myself a living benefits life insurance policy where I could have taken some of that to pay for. So I got a pile of debt, things that I had great insurance, but it didn't cover everything. That's an example. People think they're used to thinking, what's the cool, sexy thing? Wait a minute. There's some boring stuff that'll just help you exhale. So I make it my mission I want to be approachable and relatable. So people say, what do I do? How do I, am I okay? And that's the thing. So it's a good question, but people have been afraid to ask for help. That's one of those fears, like Marcel, and I want people to be curious. I want people to really go, Brian, I don't know what to do. Can you help me figure it out? Yeah, let's talk, man.
Cool. Thank you.
Good question.
Awesome. We're going to dive into speech breakout. Let's see if I can get this. Just pretend those aren't there. I don't know why it makes that happen. Okay, this is really unique about what PNA, how we're different. We're not just going to say, hey, great presentation, and then go on to referrals and testimonials. We're going to do this first. And anybody can chime in. BD, we ask that you wait till the end. Let us chime in. So we're going to test how well you are paying attention. So I'm glad you're still awake, Caesar and Mike and Brian. Okay, so let's talk about, and this is not just in business, but especially as it relates to the internet. So who is this target market? What are people complaining about online? What events might you scroll by and you're like, oh, they just had a retirement party, or maybe there was a new baby born, but like what might be some things where you're like, oh, you got to meet BV?
I think anyone who's gone through a large scale change in life, or not because they died, but because anything that merits that, whether they've received money from someone who's passed, or they've left a job and that 401k sits for 3-4 years. They just kind of forgot about it. It's not being utilized. It's not being certainly contributed to, things like that. People like that need BV because he's going to get them on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
To follow on that point, I had a life change, and Brian certainly helped me out with that. My son was born 2023. He's almost 2 now,
What?
so I don't remember the year. But yeah, I mean, like when some of those little icons that were up there, the different facets that you can help with, but one of those is college planning, and Brian helped put together, and it's a pretty unique product in IUL, and I'm pretty savvy with this stuff because I'm a former actuary. So with Brian's help with the design, we were able to put something in place that would basically be a way to accumulate future dollars for him. in a way that could be used for college funding, or it could be used for like a home purchase when he's, you know, in his 20s or 30s. So it could be for someone that just has, you know, a life change, being a, you know, kids, or, you know, buy a new house. That would be an awesome place to circle back with Brian.
Yeah. Also, too, I think people who are pissed off about taxes, or they don't quite understand taxes, or they know they're getting, like, their strategy is painful. People who are bitching about taxes, I feel like would be a good referral.
Well, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because what I heard Brian say is that there's a group of people out there who are putting this off, or that they're thinking about immediate enjoyment of life versus delayed gratification or delayed security. And that's attitudinal. And how do you, you know, I look at my son and daughter, I don't think that they ever expect to own a home. I think that they don't have the very point of view they have about the economy and their place in the economy doesn't easily allow for planning for the future. They just don't think they're going to ever get there. So, target market, how do you reach the people who don't know what they don't know? How do you get to that market that probably is younger, probably is using social media differently than an older market, probably reacts differently to things that sound educational versus interesting. Not that they are mutually exclusive, but I think if you're trying to grow the market to include people that aren't already likely suspects, you might have to look at some very, very different ways of communicating this really salient information. Visuals. I was looking at something the other day that a good chunk of the people that are much, much younger than me just don't read long form stuff anymore. They want something like Marcel can help with, or like Brian can help with, something that is an easy visual that they can take back with them, that they can see on social media.
Well, and it's so ironic that in the life insurance space, they talk about illustrations, and none of those illustrations are attractive or have composition or have color or have anything artsy to it. End rant. Anyways, I'm not sure how to solve it because of all the compliance, but there's definitely a marketing opportunity amidst the insurance world. Okay, next category is key conversations. So say you're at Costco, or you're talking to Mike's kids who are like, I'm going to be a renter forever, or, like, what type of conversation, or maybe on Facebook, you're in a Facebook group and someone says, ISO in the search of, what type of thing might you hear or see where you're like, oh, I'm going to tag or link Vaughn-life.net.
I would say maybe someone who has just changed jobs and has like a 401k or something that they're looking to do something with, and want to make sure that they're making good moves with that.
Anytime anybody uses the words "the future," quote unquote.
Or I just got a new business partner and we're building this business, and now it's like, okay, well, how do we protect that business partner? So if they get struck by lightning, like Brian Trendler said earlier, what do we, I think Laugh Tech would fall apart without Brian. I'm not sure. We should talk. We'll see. It didn't fall apart when I got really sick, so I don't know.
I suddenly feel the need to look both ways 3 times before I cross the street now.
Don't go golfing in the rain.
Not a lot of miniature golf danger there.
I also think when people are at planning memorials or death celebrations of life, people are constantly thinking about life insurance. When so-and-so, they died too young, like my late husband's mom died at 52. He died at 30. Like, that was way too young. It wasn't even on our radar. So I would say, if you guys are selling insurance, target people who are 26 to 32. Like, these 60-year-olds, They either want it or they don't. But the 32, it's not even on the horizon. Anyway, that's my 10 cents. Okay, beneficial syndication. So this is like this video right here. We've had 2 people watching live. Hello, people on the YouTubes. We're so happy you're here. But this video will be live and we can share it. Where are those places we can share it? What Facebook group, what email list, what newsletter or LinkedIn space? Like, where are those spaces that this content really deserves to go?
Well, just from a blanket answer, I think Brian needs to start developing 90-second shorts that he puts out there that talk about the key highlights of, or the 3 things you don't know, or you never know when lightning is going to strike, or don't golf during lightning strikes. Whatever. Keep your personality, but also keep it in check, so you don't unintentionally create too many tangents within that little finite amount of time. But you're such a likable dude. It's almost annoying, man. I mean, it's got to be something wrong with you.
I told you, annoying. I told you. Ask my wife. Oh my God, he's annoying. He's so annoying. Jeez.
You're the most creative person I've ever met that does what you do, and that should say a lot, right?
Yeah.
So let us see some of that in shorts, and then we can share those out, etc. Help syndicate you more.
Yeah, and I would one-up that, Brian, to BV with, take someone like Caesar and say, hey, we're going to hop on YouTube Live, or we're going to do Instagram Live, and we're going to talk about what we did for Caesar's kids. He's now 2, and he's already got X, Y, and Z, or here's what we did. And like tell that story publicly, not just at a coffee shop, because I know compliance is tricky, but if you've got somebody who's already got the success story, or they've got the confidence, like every parent watching that who's got a newborn or an infant or a toddler, I mean, that's some really shareable content right there, because a lot of people, the lecture's not as cool as somebody like Caesar saying, my kid's set. Thanks, BB. Like, and then talk about what he loves to play with Legos or what, that's some really cute content right there from a video interview perspective. Plus, I want to see Caesar's kid. That just sounds like little gem. Yeah. They're cute. Like, they get older and then we get awkward, but at that young age, they're just adorable.
We live in a woodsy area, and my wife just texted me like an hour ago that he picked up a dead rodent. So they were all freaking out, and
that's macho dude.
Immediately rushed him to go wash his hands. He gets into it.
Awesome.
Any other ideas for sponsorships or video places? I got one. So BV, high school athletes, jocks, 18-year-old track stars, basketball stars, football stars. Sounds like you were a jock, right? All jocks at some point may or may not get sick. Cancer's a bitch, right? Like, how about if you targeted some of these young buff guys who think they're invisible? Like, I really I had an old client who was selling IULs, and I was like, dude, target sell it to the gym coach who has access to all these nearly 18-year-old graduates, because they respect their bodies, and they do have the invisibility factor. But imagine if you recruited a bunch of high schools and you're like, oh, well, this, XYZ City's football team is set for life if someone dies young, or, I mean, what a fun way to approach it, where I'm passionate about athletes, the jock, just an idea. Because they need the financial literacy, that's for sure. Okay, so moving on to other categories. What are some other categories in this group? Well, we're not a closed category group. We do have several seats open. We don't have a real estate agent. We don't have a lawyer currently. We don't have a chiropractor, which might be hard for the digital space. But anybody want to popcorn out some ideas of what other members could be in this group that would help BV's business or any of our businesses grow?
I'd love to get a family law person in here, because there's a lot of effect there that goes across to many of our categories. Also business law, that's helping businesses help create financial wealth for their employees, making packages available, things like that, training, just like you mentioned, Em, all those buff people that spend more time on their bodies every single day versus planning the right things. Also a business coach. We don't actually have a bona fide business coach in this group. And most of them have adopted the technology and or Zoom or God forbid meeting place to the point where they are having client base spread out throughout the entire country, much less all of this state plus 2 others, thanks to the digital PNA footprint. So,
Excellent.
I know we mentioned real estate, but I'm thinking like a business broker, someone who buys and sells businesses would probably be a really good person to have.
I would actually love one of those right now. I'm thinking about acquiring a client's business, and I would love to talk to somebody smarter than the 2 of us about it, because
that would be Rob currently. Rob's service out of Charlotte, out of Snohomish, but either way.
Yeah.
Love to get him on this one, frankly.
Yeah, we should invite him.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well, great job, BV. Thank you for being our presenter today. We appreciate it. We're going to continue on with the session today. And with that, up next is referrals and testimonials. So let's see, did my slide advance over here? Do you guys see my slide? I don't know if you see my slide.
Still on a speech breakout with the 4 cubes.
Here, let me hit the button.
4 squares.
There
we go.
There we go. So this is an opportunity to share something nice, even if it's, I really like your headset, BV. So please share something nice, or if you have a referral or you want to set up a one-to-one, now's the chance to talk about that.
Well, I know she's not here, but I have one for Karen as well. We've been continuously speaking, and I've actually learned that with Karen does the trusts and stuff, and that she actually can finalize the process all the way to the end. So she doesn't actually she has lawyers that she works with, but she does all of it. So not a lot of people involved. That's kind of nice. And then also, oddly, we've been talking about remote internet stuff. So she's kind of my go-to on finding what she can find on that, because we both like to travel. So just throw that out for Karen.
Nice. I'll go next. So thank you to Emma. I now have better insurance for my office space, which was required to get in here. That was kind of a last minute thing. And I was like, help. And so she was fantastic, and she solved all the problems. So thank you, Emma. So we've got some closed business there. And then Brian Trendler helped with some of my creative space. And while it's not perfect, the way I had originally set it up, it was very awkward and really not that good. And he came in and was like, are you open? And I was like, yes. And now it's really cool. And I can't wait to have you all in my new space. So when you're in Mill Creek, Washington next, you're all invited.
I was going to say, I wish Rosie was on the call. If any of you are looking for a bookkeeper that is basically a bulldog and wicked smart and kind of keeps you on track, she's really someone who you should speak with, or just blindly refer out and know that it's a good referral. I've had a couple complications with my 2 businesses that she's taken care of over the last week or so, and she's just been like on the spot helpful, and it's just stupid stuff I do. Shocker if anyone gets to know me. Easier if you get to know me, it's a given. So she's just been very kind, and I think she does roll her eyes ahead of time so she doesn't on her forehead. But she's just been really thorough and kind. And I know my strengths, and that's a nice way of saying is I have so many weaknesses. But that's why I fell in love with PNA originally prior to purchasing the darn company. It was because everyone involved is quality, not quantity based. And she really is a rock star. So she's taking great care of me. And
she's so approachable. Like she and I had a Zoom one-on-one, and just it just flows. So it's not everybody does that, but we just right away we're talking like we've known each other for years. So that was
she's fantastic.
Excellent. Any other referrals or testimonials before I move on? Okay, next topic. So thank you for being here. Our speaker rotation. Again, this is the year of Would You Rather. So, and Caesar, if you were to join, we would ask you, would you like to do a YouTube live like this with Restream? We could do a panel presentation where maybe you bring on 3 guests of your choice, an author, a client, your 2-year-old, or you can do a straight up Zoom presentation, but we're trying not to go back to Zoom because this is a little cooler and more dynamic, but we would let you if you wanted to. So up next, we've got Karen, and then Emma, you're back up on July 2nd. We're not taking a break for the holidays, so quick reminder, if you can't make it for some reason, try to send a replacement. And then Christina and Mike and Marcel, we're all on deck. So
where am I? Am I supposed to be the September 17th out of curiosity, or did I get out?
I need to come up with the master because I keep moving and deleting. So I will double check. You might be in there between me and Mike. I'm not sure.
I feel attacked. No.
Stay tuned for that.
Okay.
And then let's see what else we got on here. Events to consider this Friday in Woodinville. Caesar, where are you located? Are you close?
I am actually in.
Oh my goodness! Come hang out with us Friday.
I live in Woodinville.
See, that's a perfect connection. So this Friday, comedy night, $20 tickets if you prepay, $25 at the door. Great networking. We got 4 great comedians, and then I actually co-host or host improv before the show, so I can get you up on stage. Ton of fun. Great beer and pizza. June 20th, we have a show at Mill Creek Bothell at the Wheelie Pup there, and then August 7th. Brian, do you want to talk about that? The PNA picnic, which is one of my favorite events of the year, you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, really, really quickly, Caesar, since you're a Woodvillian or whatever you call yourself, people can't find the dang place, and I just want to be clear. It is juxtaposed parallel to the Clearwater Treatment Center conference area. So if you know that space across the intersection and then up the road near the high school, which is oddly to be placed, to have a brewery right next to a high school, but it's close and it's in that little complex. So anyway, if you do decide to show, we would love to see you. The PNA Northwest Picnic is honestly stupid fun. I've had it at the location Hogue Homestead Park, impossible to spell or search for online. It's Hauge, but it's right on the end of Silver Lake near Emery's, the big yuppie restaurant there. We have 128 people in the organization now between all of the 12 chapters, including Digital PNA. So even if like 30% of them show up and bring a significant other or insignificant other, that's perfectly fine. Or kids, we could have a lot of people there cycling out or cycling through. It's time. That time, by the way, is a total typo, and that's on me. It's 4 to 9 p.m., just FYI. You have plenty of time to plan for it and to RSVP. The fun thing about it is not just meeting so many people you wouldn't normally be able to meet unless you use the benefits of membership and visit locations twice per quarter, but it's a BYOD, which stands for dish. It doesn't mean I'm cheap.
I thought it was dog. I was going to bring my own dog.
You can bring your dog. You can bring your dog. But I supply all the burgers and the hot dogs and the buns and the agua and the soft drinks. So you can't drink beer there because it's a public park. But the D is for dish because we have such an eccentric and eclectic and wide range of everybody in the organization. We've got stuff from like grandma's favorite potato salad recipe to deviled eggs, which disappeared in like 15 seconds last year, to lumpia. And Rosie made the lumpia, and it was basically crack rolled up in a little thing. It was so good. So I'm happy to take those leftovers, but this year Tupperware is going to be a requirement. Bring it, because people were making their own like carry home dish, and we're talking like the big 18-inch wide, containers of Tupperware, because there tends to be a lot of food left over. Food waste is a huge issue. It's very serious and near and dear to my heart. I do work with a lot of nonprofits where food waste is what we focus on. So take it home, because I can't eat it all. But point is that it's just a lot of fun, and I hope everyone can try to attend. And Emma, you just get to fly out. Just talk to Courtney, please. We'll do the same with Christina, she's in Arizona. And wait, Emma, you're in Arizona or Texas? I keep forgetting.
I'm in Arizona.
There
she's
you
in
go.
Texas.
Thank you. I flipped it. So.
Also, everybody, I'm dropping another link in the chat here. Tonight is the Engage Mill Creek event. I'm on the chamber there, and we've been doing a lot of events on the chamber board with Brian. And Engage Mill Creek, it's a lot of fun. Normally we get, 10 to 30 people. It really depends. But it's at the Lodge Sports Grill down in the town center. And just a reminder, if you ever have an event, or it could be virtual, it could be a picnic, happy hour, whatever you got, if you can get them to me 24 hours in advance, I can get them on the slide here so it makes it to the YouTube presentation. And I highly recommend too, if your Facebook business page is slow, meaning it's not doing much, host an event, happy hour, coffee talk, anything. There's power in events. Events get people to ask about a lot of things. And so host an event if you don't have one to share. And it could be a Zoom.
Actually, just real quick, for anyone who's local, next week on Tuesday, I will be at the Mill Creek First Financial Northwest Bank as a chamber member, hosting my own Coffee Connections, which is focused on PNA. I just don't have an office. This is the home office. So First Financial was kind enough to let me take over their space. So that's going to be fun just because. And anyone who's present there, I might tag you for a quick testimonial, stuff like that. But point is, there could be anywhere. Honestly, it's kind of a toss up. It could be anywhere from 15 to 30 people there. There could be more. It could be crazy. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. But that'll be the first time I'll have been the target focus of a chamber Coffee Connections. So that will be fun if anyone can make the trip up. And that's 8 to 9:30 at the First Financial Northwest in Mill Creek.
It's kind of nice to have free breakfast and coffee.
Yeah, I will have
chamber. So thank you.
I'll put that in the chat window too.
I already dropped it there for you. And then Mike, are there any Puget Sound Business Journal events coming up?
Well, yeah, Marcel, you're absolutely right. Events tend to activate the audience like nothing else. We do have an Everett. Speaking territorially, we have something coming up in Everett this month, the Everett Business Forum on the 17th. So if that's your neck of the woods, great place to network. The mayor will be there. The head of Propeller Airports, which is Payne Field, will be there. Kaiser Permanente will be well represented. Lots of very good opportunities to sit at a table across from business leaders.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other events coming up? I'm just going to say stay tuned for meetups. I'm going to start hosting meetups here. And then also I'm willing to do trainings for if you've got a team of agents, whether it's real estate or insurance or, I don't know, car salesmen. I would love to help more people be comfortable with social media. So stay tuned for my Developing Digital You revamp, I'm going to call it. Okay. So this is a little slide about, so Caesar, you might like this. If you did want to join, we have a $600 one-time year registration, so a little bit more affordable than some of the other bigger groups out there. But I get 20 to 80% of my business from PNA. So to me, it's absolutely worth it because when the people start to understand who you are and what you do, the businesses starts to fly. So with that, we'd love to have you consider it. And let's see what next. Okay, be on the lookout as you're out there. Happy hours, comedy shows, barbecues, baptisms, whatever you got going on this week. We're looking for these other categories as well. Research specialist. I'm not sure why that one's on there, but my eyes went to it. A photographer, a sales trainer, a copy editor, copywriter. They're not the same thing, as Brian Fendler always says. An SEO specialist, a graphic designer, a voiceover artist, a social media manager. I am not the only one in that category. Like, we can have more people. So if you know of any folks in these businesses, they're invited to come check it out one time before we would, shake them down to join. But we want to grow. Any questions on that? I think we're good. And I think that's my last slide. So boom, we made it, you guys. I don't know why I sound so surprised, but
you made it sound like it's normally a struggle.
The software is new. I will admit, I'm getting to know. Can I just try something real quick? I want to.
And Marcel, also just really quick, just to let Caesar know, we're short like 4 people today too. So this chapter is larger, and we got nowhere to go but up.
Gotcha. I can make your things move.
Oh, that's cool.
That made me feel confused and uncomfortable. So,
That's a get comfortable being
Kind of like
uncomfortable,
the
man.
square.
Yeah, me too.
actually, that would make a great meme. If everyone goes like this for a second, I'll do a screenshot.
I've been practicing with different backgrounds. I'm gonna start doing some data art with this Restream app. So I've been enjoying PNA as my practice ground.
Translation: She's been nerding out hardcore.
It's so hardcore. Well, we're done a little bit early. You guys are welcome to stay and network and chat. Caesar, if you've got questions, we're happy to answer them. And Brian, great job today. BV in the house.
Marcel, your recommendation is the first time, and as you're describing that, I'm going, oh, and we know AMP, right? AMP does play-by-play for high school sports, and it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And that's like a co-marketing opportunity. What a great idea. I am an athlete, and I got cancer anyway. By the way, I didn't use the word jock. I used to kind of like the words dumb or implied when you use jock in high school. I said, no, man.
I was a jock. I was a total, weightlifter, track star, whatever, but I was a jock and I was totally financially unprepared for the real world. Like I didn't even care about finances in high school. Like it wasn't even on my radar. And my dad was a banker. Like he taught me enough to be dangerous. Like I could budget a little bit, and then, fast forward 8 years later, my husband dies. Life insurance wasn't even on the radar. I mean, he did have some, but it wasn't like, it could have been very different. And I think a lot of people dream of a nice windfall, and wouldn't it be nice to not reach them at 40 when it's too late? Go in there early, get them at 18. Right.
So that's back to what Caesar said, and he was kind of humble. He is like Big Bang Theory smart, and he knows how and why numbers do what they do. And, and I'm a goober. So the two of us make a pretty great team. But he also made me better because he asked some really brilliant questions. I've been doing this kind of thing. So anyway, you're quite right. That sounds just like so much fun to market because people don't expect it. Mm-mm. And Brian, a moment, all of us have probably encountered people, and whether or not we mattered, I'm going to make this short, but you were onto something. What you said and Marcel together. I was a backup teacher for junior achievement in Arizona. Mm-hmm. Great organization. It wasn't my primary thing, but they needed to have a backup in case she couldn't go. And I did it 4 times. I think one of the days, so I taught this class it's supposed to teach their curriculum of business ethics is really what they do. And it's where, you guys have heard of junior achievement, but a civilian non-teacher comes in and teach, so some professional. And I used their excuse to turn business ethics into a class I call SPOZTA, SPOZTA. Who says you're supposed to do that? What are you supposed to do with your money? Who are you supposed to ask? And I did successfully get people, and I think Caesar might have heard this story. Well, anyway, so I taught there was a time all the jocks are stating what they thought was the back of the class, and all the kiss-ups are right up under my nose. So anyway, but
I was one of them too. I was a brown noser.
After the class, and all the kids got in. They had to be a cut above. It was a privilege to get to have some civilian, teach a class, and they're thinking it's going to be a, slacker and stuff. This dude bigger than me, big, like 6'4", 240, big solid dude. He's waiting in line, talking to me afterward politely, and then he steps up and he says, Brian, he says, that's the best hour of my entire high school experience, and I'm going to graduate this year. Well, and then he gives me kind of a polite, hug, and whoa, dude, but that was a fun thing. And I remember that moment, Marcel, when you said high school kids, to teach people that, well, they got parents or stuff. So you guys are onto something. Thank you for listening that well, and thank you for those recommendations, because I'm doing several of those things, but I'm not doing that, and I can have some fun, especially bringing an amp.
Everybody here this week, when you're on, maybe next week actually, graduation ceremonies are going to start happening, graduation parties. When you're on Facebook, scroll to listen for the graduates. Hey, congratulations. You got to meet my friend BV in the next 30 days. This guy's going to change your financial future. Like, what an easy in. Like
Caesar, see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What? That right there, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Those are...
You'll get your money's worth on this digital
gems, baby.
We're going to help you out. We want you to win.
So I would like you, for all of us. So thank you for that, Marcel. And the social media I have been doing, Brian, your suggestion, Nobody watches 2 minutes of video, and I have a few that are educational, but generally they're snacks that are the shorts, and it's not all about that. So, I would ask each of you to subscribe. I subscribe to the PNA channel, but subscribe to Vaughn-Life at Vaughn Life, and you'll see that. And because this is on there, I have my own link to digital PNA is recorded in the live history there, and we'll amplify that. And I do in my own brand and my website. I have a quick link to you guys, and I'll be amplifying you as an extension of my business. So great, outstanding suggestion. I wish the other people were here because they could have. They will.
They're lost, man. I
Yeah.
This is going to be the best meeting ever.
I just subscribed. There's the hot link for Brian Vaughn's YouTube. Please subscribe.
There you go. Thank you. Anybody else have YouTubes that let's do for everybody else? You got YouTube channels or social media channels to subscribe to? I use YouTube because I can put it everywhere, but
I want to encourage all of you to go onto the Digital PNA members page on the website on PNANW.com, because if you've ever provided a link to any one of your social media channels or etc., it's on your profile. So any one of us can go to Emma's or to Marcel's or to mine or whatever and just click through and follow those up. And as you said, subscribe accordingly.
Yeah, excellent. Cool. Well, happy June 4th, everybody. I'm so grateful for you're here. We're in the month of June. The year's moving by. Wouldn't it be cool if you got a lot of referrals this year because of your networking here? So I challenge you to go out, do a one-to-one with someone here. Do it live. Stream it to Instagram or YouTube. Don't hide in a coffee shop. You guys are doing cool stuff. We want to hear you online, right? Caesar, I see you smiling over there.
All right, I'm going to hunt you guys down. So
have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.